All right, everybody. In this video, I want to go over two different ETFs that are international ETFs, which a lot of the viewers of this channel aren't as aware of compared to the US. And these are pretty high in dividends. They've been consistently having a pretty high dividend yield, so it'll be good for cash flow. First one is Etf Dls. This is a Wisdom Tree International Small Cap Dividend Fund. There's a lot of information and research here. If you go to the Dividends of a Dividend Approach link, you're going to see a chart of the dividend yield and relative performance from 1951 to 2019. These are all for international funds, by the way. The highest dividend yield of the 5 quintiles had an average return of 12.48%. Next highest, 12.43%. Middle of the pack, 10.8%. Lowest, 9%. And lowest, 10.07%. So you can see the highest and high are pretty high, almost 2% higher than the others. And the S&P 500 at this time was 10.64, so kind of close to the middle of the pack there. What DLS does is they take the highest and the high dividend yields, and they invest in the companies that are international with these two yields in a small cap basis. So we're talking about $1 to $2 billion in market cap. And then that constantly gets rebalanced every 3 months, though that doesn't really change too much in terms of the portfolio holdings. It does have a fairly high dividend yield. If you look on Seeking Alpha for dividend history, you'll see that there's quite a bit of bumps in here. June 0.81, June 1.04, June 0.98, 1.17, 1.18. So coming up will be the end of June. June has been the highest dividend quarter of the 4 quarters. So if you wanted to start an initial position in DLS, this might be a good time to do it. Dividend yield right now, again, it's going to be a little bit higher in the first quarter compared to the other 3 quarters because of those big jumps. The dividend yield right now 4.17. To figure out the dividend payment, 1.185. Let's say that we get a little bit less than that. Let's say $1. You might get a times that by 100, 1.7% dividend for this quarter. The second ETF to consider in an international spectrum is the Vanguard FTSE Developed Market ETF. Ticket symbol VEA. What I like a lot about this fund is the expense ratio is just 0.05%, so extremely cheap. This one tracks the investment of the FTSE Developed All Cap X US Index. So these are higher cap weighted, so they're bigger companies than the ones from DLS. You see Nestle, Samsung, Toyota, pretty big companies there that are international. Half of it in Europe, another third or so in Pacific, and the rest in Canada and North America. If you look at the dividend yield for VEA, again, you see some jumps again in the June payment, 0.51, 0.48, 0.48 again, 0.54, 0.45, and so on. So a little bit higher payments. So it's going to be hard to predict exactly what it's going to be this quarter, but let's say 0.40. Divided by the current share price of 40.37. In the end of the month, you should get pretty much a 1% dividend for your initial payment, right? So again, by looking at initial positions in these companies, you could get a little bit of a dividend boost to reinvest for more shares in the future. I've owned both of these ETFs for a number of years already, and I just like continuing those dividends to grow in and to get those bigger dividend payments. My quarterly dividends are always the highest in June, mostly because of these two ETFs. Even though I only own 25% of my Roth IRA in these two funds, it ends up being such a higher dividend payment than the other quarters. My other ETFs and stocks are pretty stable throughout the year, so that makes June my biggest dividend month of the year. So I'm going to be adding more. I already added about $250 into the DLS. I'm trying to get DLS and VA to be approximately the same in weighting, so then I could get a pretty good dividend boost in June. Any questions, feel free to let me know, and I'll talk to you next time.